Okay, I will again. Are you able to see now?
No, sir. No, sir.
Sir, I can see them.
Okay, so just check why you are not able to see. I have now made full screen. Are you able to see? Hello? Uh,
Yes, sir.
okay, so this is now another type of energy source which is used for machining application. Similar to laser beam, you are using an electron beam. And here also the process is basically a thermal process. We saw that in case of laser beam, whenever it is impinged on any material, the material after absorbing the laser power or laser energy, it gets heated up. Depending upon the laser power density, it can be melted, it could be vaporized. Okay. Similarly, here also the you are using an electron beam. So electron beam machining, the drilling was first done and it was introduced in 1952, and then electron beam welding was introduced in industry in 1959 or so. Okay, but still it is known as a non-conventional or non-traditional. It has not become traditional compared to the conventional method of machining with like mechanical tools like drilling or turning or milling or grinding. So because of that and the energy source which you are using and the way the material is removed is very, very unconventional, unlike in case of conventional machining where the material is removed through the chip formation. Here it is by vaporizing or melt ejection we do it. So the basic process of electron beam machining, it is a thermal process similar to laser beam machining. Material is heated. So the striking of high velocity electrons with workpiece, then what will happen? These electrons will have a lot of kinetic energy, and this kinetic energy, when it is when the electron beam impinging on workpiece, it is going to get stopped at the top surface, near the top surface, and that kinetic energy is going to be converted into heat, and depending upon how much the heat is dissipated, you can get rapid melting and vaporization. So using this effect, you do the machining, drilling or welding or cutting. You can do the drilling, cutting, slotting, welding, annealing, milling, and additive manufacturing you can do by controlling various operating parameters. Okay. So electron beam machining is usually done in vacuum, unlike laser beam machining. Why it is done under vacuum? In atmosphere, normal atmosphere, if you do, then the electrons which is passing through the atmosphere, it is going to have lot of elastic and inelastic collision with the air molecule. And because of that, there will be lot of scattering of electrons, and this is going to cause lateral dispersion due to scattering, and there could be certain amount of energy loss as well. So because of the scattering, when you try to focus with the help of a magnetic lens, the power density at the workpiece is going to get reduced. Because of this, the electron beam machining is not usually done in normal atmosphere, in open atmosphere, but it is done under vacuum. Okay, so that the scattering by the air molecules that gets reduced. So how an electron beam machine will look like, and what are the things it comprises? So it has got one electron gun to produce the electron. So how the electron is produced? So electrons are produced or generated by thermionic emission by hitting a hot tungsten cathode. So you have got a tungsten which has got very high melting temperature. So you go and heat it with by passing certain amount of current by joule heating. You heat the tungsten cathode to almost like 3000 to 4000 degree temperature, and at those temperature the tungsten metal, which has got lot of loosely bound electrons, they are going to get enough kinetic energy and they are going to come out from the surface. So you have got lot of now free electrons coming out from the tungsten filament. Now you apply, there is a anode, you apply a high positive voltage with respect to this cathode, which is the filament. Then these electrons which are released by the thermionic emission, they are going to accelerate it towards the anode, okay, and they will come out. And the shape of the cathode and anode is made in such a way that all these electrons which are emitted by thermionic emission from the, which has liberated from the filament by thermionic emission, they are focused and they pass through a small valve opening and it comes out from there. Okay, so there is a mechanical valve here. Whenever we need this zone to be isolated from the working zone, so you shut the valve, and whenever you want electron beam to come out, you open this valve. So from this valve, the electron beam is going to come out. There is a other grid is applied here, which works as a screen, and on that grid, usually you can apply negative voltage. So this effect of the anode voltage is not felt. That is, the electrons will not be allowed to pass through the grid when negative voltage is applied. Now I can pulse the grid voltage and bring it to zero, and whenever the grid voltage is brought to zero, the anode field will be felt by the, all these will be seen by the electrons and they will be accelerated out. So by pulsing the grid, I can pulse the electron beam, and this pulsing is used while you are doing the drilling. Okay, and when we are using for welding, you keep this grid open with a zero voltage, so continuously you can generate the electron beam and use for welding purpose or any other applications where you need continuous electron beam. And wherever you want to do the you want to use the pulse electron beam, you can use the grid voltage. Okay, and you can change the grid time or t on time from 10 microsecond to continuous opening you can do. So you can control the pulse duration of the electron beam and frequency as well. Okay. Now, once the beam, electron beam is coming out, then you have to focus the beam, and you focus the beam with the help of a magnetic lens. And then the electron beam is focused on the workpiece. You can deflect the focused electron beam with the help of a deflection coil. So you apply some amount of small magnetic field to deflect the beam on the workpiece, and with that you can very fast you can deflect the beam within around a centimeter, around 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter area. You can deflect the beam and you can make any feature. You can machine it. Any feature can be machined within 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter area or so. And if you want a larger feature size, then you manipulate the position of the workpiece, and for this workpiece is put on a XY table. Okay, and this is the vacuum compatible table. So entire this volume is under vacuum. This zone is at a very high vacuum, 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power minus 8 torr. Torr means 760 torr is 1 atmospheric pressure. So you have around 10 to the power minus 6 to minus 7 torr here. And in the working place, you could have around 10 to the power minus 4 to 10 to the power minus 6 torr pressure here. Then whenever you have got also a mechanical rotating shutter, so whenever you expose the material with the electron beam, lot of material is going to get melted and vaporized, and after the end of the process, you when the electron beam is stopped, it is shut, then you put this shutter also so that all this vapor and fume cannot go in this chamber. Otherwise this magnetic lens and other things is going to get a coating of that vapor. So whenever we try to use this, when the processing is done, that time only you open this shutter, and once the process is done, you immediately close it so that these vapors and the fume cannot go inside the upper part of the system. Okay. Then you have got a power supply up to 150 kilovolt you use on the cathode. Here negative voltage you use, and with respect to the anode, so you have to apply a certain amount of voltage to accelerate, and this accelerating voltage could be up to 150 kilovolt. The current, which is decided by how much electrons have been produced by at the filament, and what is the drift velocity, it can be in the range of 150 microampere to 1.5 ampere current. The vacuum chamber has got a vacuum of this order, which is generated, which is realized by a rotatory pump, which is backed with a diffusion pump. So you have got two pumps in series, one rotary. This is the mechanical pump, which pumps up to 10 to the power minus 3 torr, and then with the help of a backing diffusion pump, you have got the diffusion pump which can generate, which can create vacuum of the order of 10 to the power minus 6 torr or so. Okay, then you have got the vacuum compatible workstation. Okay. Now the mode of electron beam operation for drilling and cutting, pulse electron beam is used. Single pulse, a single pulse, a single hole in a thin sheet could be generated by a single pulse. And you can use multiple pulses to drill in a thicker material. For welding, DC, there is a direct current or continuous electron beam used. Parameters are so chosen that loss of material due to vaporization is minimum, especially in case of welding process. Okay. Now, the important part in the electron beam is the focusing of electron beam, and for that you use magnetic lens. And magnetic lens utilizes the principle of Lorentz force. That is, whenever the electrons are moving, you apply, it can be accelerated by applying electric field, as well as you can apply magnetic field, and with that also you can apply force. When you are using magnetic field, then depending upon the what is the electron velocity and what is the angle with respect to magnetic field, this V cross B is going to determine what is the force experienced by the electron. So if there are electrons which are moving along the axis, and if your magnetic field direction is along the axis, then what will happen that those are not going to deflect. They will not experience any magnetic Lorentz force because of the magnetic field, because in that case V cross B is going to be 0. But any electron which is moving in a away from the axial direction, they will experience a magnetic field, and this magnetic field is going to force it to gyrate like this. So it is going to move, the electron beam is going to move and it is gyrating, it is going to get focused at a certain point over here. So with this process, by applying magnetic field, you can force all the electrons which are trying to move in a non-axial direction, which are having certain direction away from the axial direction. They are going to just gyrate like this, and it is going to focus at one point. The focal length is going to be determined what is the current in the coil and what is the accelerating voltage. So if the current in the magnetic coil, that is, which is going to decide what is the strength of the magnetic field, so it will be dependent on the magnetic field, as well as it will be inversely proportional to under root applied accelerating voltage, which is going to decide what is the velocity of the electron. So this is the expression approximately is the dependence of the focal length on uh, 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 coil current and accelerating voltage, how the focal length of the magnetic lens is dictated by these two parameters. Now, there are, unlike the case of photons, since the electrons are negatively charged particles, so if you try to bring all these electrons together very close by, there could be some repulsive force. So because of the repulsive force and other beam divergence, etc., the spot size of the focal spot size of the electron beam is influenced by these factors. So one is the electron beam divergence. What is the starting direction of the electron beam, depending upon this the location where all these electrons are getting focused, that will be decided. So ultimately the focal spot diameter is going to be decided by the electron beam initial divergence, mutual repulsive force between the electrons, a spherical aberration of the lens. So the magnetic field direction, if you consider along the axis, it will be straight coming like this. If you go away from the axial radially out, then the direction of the magnetic field will be slightly curved. Okay, it will have certain curved direction. So that is going to introduce certain amount of aberration, spherical aberration of the magnetic lens. Spread in the initial velocity. Now, as we mentioned that the cathode thermionic emission is going to emit the electrons from the cathode surface, and when they are emitted, they are having certain Boltzmann, Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of kinetic energy or velocity. And because of that distribution, the focusing is going to be decided, because the focusing, as you can see, that is dependent on the initial velocity. Since all the electrons doesn't have or do not have the unique velocity, but it has got a distribution, therefore that is also going to influence what is the spot diameter which we are going to get. Then you have got another factor is the electron accelerating voltage VE. Then electron current, how many electrons density is there, how much electron density, that is going to also determine how strong repulsive force the electrons they experience. That will depend on the electron density. And magnetic lens current, which is going to tell me the strength of the magnetic field. So the typical diameter of electron beam in machining and welding is you can control in the range of 50 to 500 micron, depending upon what is the electron current you are getting, okay, and what is the magnetic field you are using, okay. When you are using for photolithography or electron lithography, where you need very fine focusing, that time you use low current electrons, and that time you can focus to few nanometer dimensions. And in electron beam lithography, the electron gun for producing the electrons, instead of thermionic emission, you can use the field emission. You can apply high electric field on a pin cathode. From there, the electrons are going to get ejected out by the electric field. Okay. So in that case, you do not have the Maxwell temperature distribution as you see in case of thermionic emission. Okay. Now, how the electron beam interacts with any material? So the interaction takes place in this following way. When the high velocity electrons, they are impinging on the surface of the material, because of the very high kinetic energy, they get scattered. They first pass through the material up to certain depth without making much interaction, because their velocity is very, very high. The velocity of the electron could be almost few percent of the light velocity, that is of the order of 10 to the power 7 meter per second or so. So the velocity is so high of the electrons that they have very little time for interacting with the material on the top surface. So as they are penetrating slowly, they start interacting, and they will start getting scattered from here and there. So schematically it can be shown that there is a top surface where very little transfer of kinetic energy has taken place. Thereafter, as they start scattering here and there, they then try to transfer their energy to other electron and ions, and thereby they dissipate their energy into the material. So unlike laser beam, where the laser beam used to get absorbed within few tenths of nanometer in metals, electron beam penetrates certain distance, and then it couples its kinetic energy totally. So there is a certain total range delta. Top layer has got certain amount of transparent layer, and then you have got some layer where it is going to dissipate. So there is a certain depth within which the electron beam is going to dissipate its energy. Okay. And this depth within which, or the layer thickness within which it is going to dissipate its energy, essentially depends on what is the accelerating voltage V and what is the material density. So if the accelerating voltage is V, then it is the range or the depth in which the electron is going to dissipate its energy is dependent as a V square term, and it is inversely proportional to density. So if you compare aluminum and titanium or tungsten, then tungsten has got very large density compared to aluminum. So in tungsten, the electron beam is going to get absorbed, or it is going to dissipate its kinetic energy in a relatively much thinner layer thickness compared to in aluminum, whose density is much less compared to tungsten. Okay. Now, the kinetic energy of the electron, since it is a relativistic electron, because its velocity is almost near some percent or some 10 to 50% of the light velocity, so its kinetic energy is given by this type of relativistic relation. Okay, so here mc square, where the c is the light velocity and m is your rest mass of the electron, into 1 by 1 minus v by c whole square under root minus 1, is going to be equal to what is the accelerating voltage multiplied by the charge of the electron. Okay. If it is a non-relativistic, then I could have written half mv square is equal to ev. But since it is a relativistic electron beam, therefore the expression gets more complex like this. Okay. And it can be seen that from here that the kinetic this velocity of an electron is approximately equal to 600 times under root v, where the v is the applied accelerating voltage. So if you consider voltage in the range of around accelerating voltage in the range of around 50 kilovolt, then, and if you consider steel whose density is 8,000 kg per meter cube, then the depth of penetration, which is given by this expression 2.6 into 10 to the power minus 8 v square by rho, is going to yield a penetration depth of 8 micron or so. Okay, so that is you can get from this expression. If you put all this magnitude, this 50 kilovolt and rho of 8,000 kg per meter cube, and from here, if you can put this 50 kilovolt, then you can get velocity v in kilometer per second, and it will be approximately in the range of 10 to 50% of the light velocity. Because of that, these electrons are having relativistic speed. Okay. Now, what is the mechanism of material removal? So this can be appreciated when we do the drilling, micro drill on any metals workpiece, thin foil or a small thin sheet. These sheets are usually when we are trying to drill in electron beam machine, these are put on some low boiling temperature material like some plastic sheet like acrylic sheet or perspex sheet. You can put on that, and you put the workpiece of metallic workpiece on this backing plate, which has got very low boiling temperature, and vapor pressure at the boiling temperature could be very high. Okay. Now you impinge the focused electron beam, as electron beam is going to melt, and when the power density is high enough, it is going to vaporize the material. So when the vapor is coming out, it is going to provide certain amount of required pressure on the molten material, so the molten material will be ejected out from the hole, and the electron beam is going to reach, and as soon as it reaches at the bottom of the metal sheet, and then it is going to touch this backing plate. As soon as it reaches to the backing plate, then a small amount of backing plate whose boiling temperature is very low compared to metal, it is going to boil off very fast, because its temperature, the boiling temperature, could be in the range of around only 500, 600 degrees centigrade. And once the organic material boils off, it is going to form a lot of vapor, and at a very high pressure, all this vapor is going to come out. And when it is coming out, that time it will also take out all molten material which was sticking on the wall of the metal sheet. These are all going to get cleared out by this high speed vapor which is coming out from this hole, and thereby it is going to make a very good, very clean hole drill in this. So here the workpiece is placed on organic or synthetic backing plate like a perspex sheet, as all you know, ordinary plastic sheet. Power densities are in the range of around 10 to the power 8 to 8 watt per centimeter square. This is sufficient to melt and vaporize materials of any thermal conductivity. Vaporization of a small amount of melted material takes place. Ejection of remaining molten material by required pressure of escaping vapor, creating a hole. Electron beam penetrates in till it reaches the bottom surface of the workpiece, As electron beam strikes the auxiliary support plate or backing plate, the volume in contact is totally vaporized, resulting in the explosive release of backing material vapor. High velocity vapor carries along with it the molten walls of the capillary, creating a hole in the workpiece, and a small cavern in the backing place is generated. Okay, so this is the way the drilling is done, and the main mechanism of material removal is your vaporization and melt ejection by the vapor of metal as well as the backing plate. What are the different electron beam parameters? So as you can see, accelerating voltage, which is typically in the range of 10 to 150 kilovolt in commercial systems. Electron beam current is, you can control from 100 microampere to around 1.5 microampere. So the product of current and voltage is going to tell you what is going to be the power. Okay, so this product is going to tell you what is the power of the electron beam system. Pulse duration, you can get continuous electron beam. Also, you can do the pulsing, and in the pulse you can control by giving the gate voltage, controlling the gate grid voltage. You can have from millisecond to microsecond time domain. Energy pulse, pulse energy, it will depend on what is the peak power as well as what is the pulse duration. So the power you can get up to 100 kilowatt. So the product of this, like 150 kV into 1 ampere, is going to give you how much? You are going to get 150 kilowatt. Okay, so up to 100 kilowatt you can get from the commercial system. All other parameters is the lens current, which determines the focusing and the focal length, which we discussed earlier. The spot size, that is going to decide what is the power density, and the process medium, the environment, what is the order of vacuum. Okay, if the vacuum is very high, the scattering loss of the electron will be less, and if the vacuum is poor, then you will have some amount of scattering, and the focusing effect is going to be affected by the background pressure, background atmospheric molecules. Beam energy is increased preferably by increasing the current rather than accelerating voltage to avoid more scattering at higher electron energy and slower coupling of energy. So if you want to change the power, I can change the power either by accelerating voltage or beam current, but it is advisable or it is preferred to change by beam current only. If you change the voltage, then what will happen, that your penetration depth of the electron beam, that is going to change by a square of the voltage dependence we have seen, and also the focusing effect is also going to get affected. Okay, so because of that, the electron beam current is varied for varying the power. Here the typical dependence have been shown. If you are using a pulse mode, then the pulse mode you can have 50 microsecond to 15 millisecond by controlling modulation voltage on the bias cathode grid. If you increase the pulse duration, your pulse energy increases, and in case of drilling, the depth and diameter in the drilling is going to increase. If you are increasing the current, which can be varied from 100 microampere to 1 ampere, pulse energy is going to increase. Energy in excess of 120 joule per pulse can be delivered, and rapid drilling of very deep and large holes are obtained. The lens current, it determines the focal point of the electron gun, the working distance, and the size of the focused spot on the workpiece. As you have seen, the lens current, if you increase, the focal distance and spot diameter both are going to reduce. Tapered, you can generate taper straight inversely tapered and bell-shaped holes by adjusting the electron of the focal point, adjust the location of the focal point with respect to the top surface of the workpiece. So where you focus the electron beam with respect to the top surface, you can get either the straight or tapered or inverse tapered or bell-shaped holes drilled. Hole of non-circular shape by deflecting the electron beam by energizing the deflection coil also you can do, and this deflection is limited to around 6 millimeter or so, as I mentioned earlier. Here the weld depth with the speed has been shown. As the weld depth increases, your speed of welding up to the desired depth, that goes on reducing, and this is shown for different power of the electron beam. Very interesting to see that through the keyhole formation, the welding you can achieve in very thick material. So here the welding is realized through the keyhole penetration. So what is happening that whenever the electron beam is falling on a material, it is going to melt, and a small amount of material is going to be ejected. And when the vapor is coming out, it is going to give the required pressure, and this is going to push the molten material in the towards the wall, as in case of your keyhole welding with the with the laser. And as you move away the laser electron beam, then this molten material is going to again fill up the gap, and it is going to fuse. So here you can see the thickness is around 2.375 inch. That is of the order of around, it will be around 7 millimeter thick. Okay. So 2.5, 7 centimeter. Okay. So it is going to have a very large depth. You can do the drilling in single pass. Okay, so this is for the inconel, that is the nickel alloy. This is the carbon steel, and this is aluminum. So all these are in the range of around 3 inch. You can do the drilling in single pass from the top surface. 3 inch you can drill, you can do the welding. And if you are drilling the hole from the not drilling, welding the thick plate, then 6 inch total plate you can weld from both the side, and you don't need any filler material. Just keep these two pieces together and move the electron beam along that seam, and it is going to melt both the edges up to the desired depth. And when you move the electron beam away from there, the molten material is going to fuse together and give you very good quality of welding done. Okay, so you can see the capability of electron beam in welding. A few numerical problem you can see, which will relate the process parameter with the capability of electron beam machining. Okay, so here you can see that the electron beam power which is required to remove certain amount of material is proportional to the amount of material you want to remove. So electron beam power is proportional to the rate of material volume which is removed. Okay, per unit time, how much material is being removed. Of course, that will be decided by how much is the electron beam power is incident. So P is equal to C into Q, where C is a constant of proportionality called specific power, or electron beam power per unit material removal rate. And Q is, you can say this, and Q is material removal rate in millimeter cube per minute. Okay. So this material removal rate is dependent on your laser, on your electron beam power. And this constant term, how much power per unit volume is required per unit time per minute for different materials from different experimental results has been tabulated here. So for case of tungsten, you require around 12 watt of power to remove unit millimeter cube per minute of material. Okay, so you need around 12 watt of power. For iron, relatively less, 7. For titanium, even less, and aluminum, 4. Okay. Now, with this relation, at least one unknown parameter can be determined. So let us suppose that I have got a problem to determine the cutting speed to cut a 50 micron wide slit in a 0.2 millimeter 200 micron thick tungsten sheet using 10 kilowatt electron beam. So I need to determine the cutting speed. Okay. So how can I use this equation? For C, this term for the tungsten is 12 watt per millimeter cube per minute, and I have got the electron beam power is 10 kilowatt. And assuming that the cutting speed is V millimeter per minute, then the material removal to create this slit in unit in 1 minute will be width of the slit, thickness of the plate or the foil multiplied by the velocity. So this is my Q. So from this relation, I can write that C is equal to P by Q. And so 12 watt per millimeter cube per minute is equal to 10,000, that is 10 kilowatt divided by this Q, this magnitude. And from this relation, I can find out what is the value of V. So V comes out to be 83.3 meter per minute or so. Very fast you can do. So you can find out that it is millimeter or meter you can determine. Okay. I am just telling you the procedure. The numerical values may have some discrepancy, so you can calculate and find it out. Okay, and correct it. So there was a slit when we are making, and if you are making a drilling a hole, so let us suppose that I have got to drill a hole in 100 micron thick tungsten foil, and I want to have a 50 micron hole to be drilled. So similarly, I can find out what is the material removal removed volume, and I can assume that it takes time, which electron beam on time of the order of tau minutes. So this much, if Z is the thickness of the sheet and the diameter of the hole to be drilled, which is equal to the diameter of the electron beam is dE, then pi by 4 dE square multiplied by Z is going to be this cylindrical volume. And if it takes tau time, then the Q will be this much, this volume divided by tau. And again, I can use the relation C is equal to P by Q. And then I relate with this 10 kilowatt, then I can find out what is the time it takes. So time required to drill the hole for the electron beam is going to be 141.3 microsecond. So what one can usually do, that I can do the drilling with the pulsing the electron beam. I can control the pulse on time. Either I can set at 50 microsecond and drill this entire hole in 3 shots, 3 pulses, or I can set at 150 microsecond time and drill by a single pulse. Okay, so depending upon how you do, you have got the flexibility to control the pulse on time by controlling the voltage on the grid voltage on the in the electron beam machine. Last problem is that estimate the penetration depth of electron beam accelerated at 100 kilovolt impinging in a steel plate having density of 7.6 gram per cc. So you can put that and you can find out this expression you can use, and you can find out that the penetration depth is 34 micron. Now, from this relation, what we can find out, that let us suppose that if I have to drill a micro hole in a 10 micron foil or 20 micron foil, then we will not be able to do at 100 kilovolt accelerating voltage, because very little energy of the electron beam kinetic energy will be absorbed in the foil, because its penetration depth is 34 micron. So electron beam is going to dissipate its energy in 34 micron, and if your workpiece or foil thickness is less than this, then the electron beam is going to effectively pass through without getting completely absorbed in the foil. So what you need to do, you have to reduce the accelerating voltage so that your absorption attenuation depth, the absorption length or depth is much less than 20 micron, so that the entire electron beam energy is dissipated in the small thickness of the foil. If the penetration depth is more than that, then part of the electron beam is going to transmit through. Okay, so that is the indication it gives. So this just, yeah, this a one or two slides more. So this just tells us the capability of the electron beam in various processes. So you can go through, which we have described while we are doing the all description when we are discussing. And some of the applications has been just indicated. These are the some indicative applications. Here some advantages have been mentioned in case of drilling and cutting, as well as for the welding. So from the process of the electron beam, you can appreciate all these advantages, and some disadvantages you can also see. Okay, one of the important aspect in disadvantages that one needs to take a lot of care about the X-ray emission, because whenever the electron beam is incident on any metal piece, it generates a lot of X-ray, and X-ray is the ionization radiation, so it can cause health hazard. So one needs to take care of that. Okay. This is summarizing the entire thing, so you can go through these slides. Okay. And that brings me to the end of this. Okay. So if you have got any question, you can ask me. And what I will suggest, that if today you do not have any question, you can keep the question for the next